the water softener filtration system. So some homes, I'll see the 2 big tanks. Well, those got to be at least, 4 feet tall? Those tanks? Yeah. And what describe the tanks for me. The tall, thinner one is what's inside that? Is that just to circulate the water?
Okay. 2-tank system, that's the beginning of what's called whole house water filtration.
Whole house, okay.
Right. So whenever somebody says, well, I want whole house water filtration, what that says to me is that they want to try and do the complete job. That means, first of all, you've got a softener and a carbon. But I'm going to say that in reverse.
Okay.
You have a carbon and a softener. And I'm saying them in reverse because in the order that they should be installed.
Okay.
So if you're going to do whole house filtration, the installer is going to or should install the inlet water going through the carbon filter first, and the softener second, and then into the house. The reason being, first of all, the 2 tanks. Let's explain the 2 tanks, and then let me just make a note why the order. Okay? The first filter is a carbon filter. The carbon filter stands by itself. It's also most times a backwashing carbon. Backwashing simply means, when you hear that term, it means the system cleans itself periodically. So there's no need to have to come and remove that tank and bring another tank.
So it's automatic.
Automatic.
Now, it's not like a swimming pool filter where you got to do it manually.
Right. Okay. So the carbon filter, backwashing carbon. That carbon filter is there as a filtration process with the water. Filtration being separate from softening. Filtration now is for the purpose of removing a certain level of contaminants in the water, starting with chlorine, or in LA, chloramines. For your listeners who don't know, the difference between chlorine and chloramine is taking chlorine and adding ammonia as a disinfectant to the water. Sounds great, doesn't it?
It does. I'm getting kind of thirsty as we're talking.
So when you have chlorine or chloramine in the water, that's a disinfectant to make sure basically any living organisms are not in the water.
Right.
Now, let me just do a quick sidebar for your cut. There's a tremendous number of people out there that believe, and I hear it all the time, that when it comes to cleaning their water or purifying their water, well, isn't it good if I just boil it? And people actually believe that boiling water cleans the water. That's because they've heard over and over again, when the city has a water main break in any city, they will issue a boil alert. They don't necessarily explain what that actually means or what the boil alert does or doesn't do, because, again, that's not their responsibility.
All us minions just start doing it.
So we boil the water, which is a good thing, because when the water main breaks underground, anything, it's like a cut on your arm. If something can come out, something can go in.
Sure.
So when the water main breaks, there's a possibility that living bacteria can go into that crack or break and become into your water and into your home.
Right.
So they issue a boil alert to kill any bacteria that could possibly have entered the water line.
Got it.
But that does not mean if there is chromium or lead in your water, nitrites in your water, that you're going to get them out.
It's not going to affect that.
No, boiling is not going to take that out. Okay? It's only for killing living organisms.
Like a bacteria.
Bacteria, exactly.
I see.
So the carbon filter is there to deal with chlorine or additives to kill bacteria and volatile organic compounds. Okay? Volatile organic compounds are things like your pesticides, herbicides, pharmaceutical waste, agricultural runoff, nitrates, things like that. Okay? Volatile organic compounds. Those things are in our water, published by the LA Water Department. They're there. They can only get them out to a certain degree, and they're only required by the EPA to get them out to a certain level, which is called, on your report, you'll see your MCL, maximum contamination level. The EPA sets that. LA water, Ohio water, Pennsylvania has to meet that standard. So that's what the carbon filter does. But the carbon filter does not deal with hard water. It will not remove calcium, magnesium from the water. So you need that to deal with those things. And that is a concern in a lot of areas. And they're present in LA water. So if you want to drink and shower in the best of water for your skin, for your children's skin and hair, we have skin conditions that children have and people that are sensitive to, eczema and things like that. And volatile organic compounds have a tendency sometimes to cause those things to be aggravated. So that's why you put in a carbon filter, to ensure that you don't have that issue. And if you do have that issue, that you can alleviate it. So you put a carbon filter.
Carbon. Okay.
Now, after the carbon filter, the second tank standing next to that carbon is the softener. The softener is filled with resin. And that resin is what attracts the calcium, magnesium off of the water molecule, and it attaches to the resin, leaving the water soft. So some people think that it's the salt that makes the water soft. It's not. The salt is used for the unit to clean itself.
Got it. Okay.
The resin is what makes the water soft. It pulls the calcium, magnesium off the water molecule, and that's what makes the water hard. So it says we're going to pull that off, and it'll pull it off to a level down to 1. Some areas 2, depending on how hard the water is, because the system can only pull what it's capable of pulling based on what it's starting with. So the harder the water is when you start, the harder the water is going to be when you finish.
Okay.
Follow me?
Yeah.
So if you're starting out with water that's 35 grains hard, when you get soft water, your water soft may be 2 grains hard. It can't pull and get it to 1. So it may get it to 2, but your water's still soft. You start out at 35. And bathing in 35 grains hard water is like bathing in rocks.
Okay.
I don't even know how people do it.
Wow.
Because 10 grains hard is hard enough. I mean, anything over 10 plus is considered extreme.
Right.
And I've got areas in Malibu and places like that that are, they're 31, 35, So that's really rough on your hair and your skin and every kids.
Something you just mentioned about the salt and people thinking the salt softens the water. How can you compare that with a swimming pool situation, like a saltwater pool? Is there any similarity to what you're saying there?
Well, see, when you've got a saltwater swimming pool, most people have a saltwater pool because they want to avoid the chlorine.
Correct.
They don't want to swim in chlorine.
Right.
And saltwater pools maybe take a little bit more management.
Yeah, they do.
To deal with, but it's kind of like one of the better ways to go.
Yeah.
Because, if you think about it, when you get out of a regular swimming pool, the first place you go is to the shower.
Right.
But if you have a carbon filter on your house, then you're not showering with any chlorine in your water with that, because you're removing the chlorine or chloramine, depending on the carbon media you're using. You're removing that pretty much from your shower as well.
Okay.
So that's
just made me think of that when you were mentioning the salt in the water. I'm like, hey, what about a pool? Yeah,
lastly to that, softener, carbon filter and softener, those are 2 items that are filtering all the water to the house. But the reason why the carbon filter first is because the chlorine in the water has a tendency to hasten the life or the deterioration of the resin in the softener.
Right. Now, I want to be clear too on something. So the carbon filter, that's the tall, thin tank, correct?
They're both tall. So sometimes if you get them, sometimes the difference in size is the softener is a 9x48 tank.
Oh, okay.
And the softener is a 10x54.
Yeah.
So it's just a little bit bigger in the diameter.
Okay.
Just a little bit taller.
Okay.
You know, a lot of times I will size the carbon filter bigger in the bigger homes that I deal with. You know, anywhere like anything over 10,000 square feet, 15,000 square feet. I would size the carbon filter larger to be able to have contact time with the water, to be able to absorb the things that you're trying to have it absorb and have that water ready to go to the house without them losing any flow rate. Okay. Because carbon filters need contact time and resin doesn't. The resin softener, the water flows right through. But carbon filters need contact time to be able to do their job. And so sometimes you make the tank a little bit bigger so that you can have more water flowing through there that's filtered to get to the house. So it's a little bit bigger tank.
Got it.
But the carbon filter acts not only to filter the water, but as pre-treatment for the softener to be able to extend and maintain the life of the resin in that softener. So they're put in that order. Soft carbon filter, then softener, then into the house.
Alrighty then. That was a good explanation. All right, so here's some more questions that customers have regarding the whole house water softening filtration system. How do I know if my water filtration system is even working when I move into the new house that is equipped with one?
Okay. So if you move into a home that already has a water filtration system, here are the things that you don't know. First thing is, you don't know how old the system is.
Yep.
Okay.
Good point.
Even if the customer tells you. I've had customers tell me that, well, we've had our system in our house for about 5 or 6 years.
It was actually 20 years,
let's
right?
say they have a Culligan system, and they end up calling in. They never had service, and then I inherit this person. They call in, they call, and I call them, and they say, we have a Culligan system, and it's been we got it about maybe 6-7 years ago, and we don't know whether it's still working. And I go into customer service, pull the records. The system's 10 years old.
Of course.
12 years old.
No one ever knows how old their stuff is.
You don't know. So if you buy the house, the customer tells you who you bought the house from, oh, this system's about 5 years old. You call us, it's 11 years old. That's a big difference.
And what is the life expectancy of these units?
It depends. There's two things. Good question. Life expectancy, when you buy a system, there are two parts. If the system is functioning properly, all the way through with recurring maintenance, means eyes on the unit. Some people say, well, why do I have to buy the maintenance unit? Can't I just put the salt in myself? And well, that means when something happens to your unit, you want to pay out of pocket for everything that needs to be done to get your system back on track again. You want to pay for the service call. You want to pay for the parts, labor, everything. I don't suggest that. I suggest you get the maintenance plan because the maintenance plan is a real maintenance plan and it covers everything.
Well, let's talk about the word you just used, functional. I use that word every day, and functional means it's working. It doesn't mean it's working properly. Okay. So I have to point that out to customers every day. Hey, your AC system's working, or your furnace is working. I don't say it that way. I say it's functional, because it doesn't mean it's performing at its best. Could be on its way out. It could just barely be running. So that's something I always like to put clarity on because that's a very important word in my line of work.
Mm-hmm.
So, and if something's really old, I'll refer to it as functionally obsolete.
Yeah, very good.
So, because that's putting you on notice. You got a really old system here. It is functioning. That's what they got to leave with. Okay, it's really old. John said it's really old, but it is functional.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I'm like, well, because of it's so old, I know it's functioning because we tested it. And because it's so old, you need to get a specialist here right away to go take a deep dive into this thing and let you know if they think it's got another year left, another week, another day. Who knows? And then they could tell you from there what to do.
Now, that being said, let's do a quick discussion on the comparison of a furnace, air conditioner unit,
Mm-hmm.
hot water heater, water filtration. The difference that the water filtration system has with all of those things is what it's doing is in direct contact with you, the water.
Yeah.
Whether it's putting it on your body or you're taking it into your body, not the air conditioner unit,
Right.
or the heater,
Right.
I mean your furnace. So I've gone into homes where they had a filter. Bought a home, it already had a drinking water system under the sink.
Osmosis, like an osmosis.
Mm-hmm. They were basically wanting to get the system up and running. I look at the unit and the technician, whoever serviced it last, it says they wrote a date on it, 9/12/2012. I mean, it says the last time that system was serviced.
Well, if you just checked that this week, that's a long time ago.
Okay. And let's say that was 2020, 2021. That's the last time it was serviced, last time filters were put into it, last time water, it was actually checked or any proper functionality.
Right.
So they'll say, well, can we just change the filters?
Themselves?
No, can we just have you guys, if let's say it's a Culligan system, can we just have you guys change the filters and we're good to go? I said, yeah. Yeah.
With a chuckle.
That's doable. Absolutely. The question is, how comfortable are you with that? Because I'm not comfortable with it, and I'm going to tell you that I'm not comfortable for the record.
Right.
Because if the filters have not been changed in this system since 2012, that means this system has not been opened up. It's a sealed unit. We have to open it. Mm-hmm. It hasn't been opened up, new filters, cleaned out. They can change filters in there, but I don't know what else is going on in there. And the technician that comes to your house, if this system is 12 years old, they're not going to put their hat on the fact that when they take this system apart and they're going to sit there and clean this whole system out, whatever's in they see when they go in there. Then they open up and they see things, they're going to say, listen, I suggest you throw this out.
Mm-hmm.
It's been sitting here like this since 2012.
Right. No maintenance.
So the question for you is, as a consumer, as a person, as a family person, do you want to cut corners on your drinking water? Do you want to save money on buying another system just because you just don't want to buy one? We got this one for free. Well,
Right.
no, you bought the house. The system was there.
Yeah.
It's that old. Get rid of it. Start fresh with your family with a brand new system that you know that you can bank on, that your water is safe,
Right.
rather than hoping and guessing that this system got cleaned out good enough. Yeah. Or after sitting for 10, 12
That's very
years.
good logic, Ron, but a lot of people don't have good logic. We can't fix that.
No, we can't. And let me tell you, if you don't mind me saying,
I don't mind.
I have people who will hedge on throwing out an old, partially functioning RO system, and rather than buy a new one, they would rather try and retool this one, and they got $100,000 car sitting in the driveway.
I think I knew you were going to say that.
Come on.
Yeah. Priorities.
Right. I mean, I know that everyone sees your brand new Land Rover in the driveway, your brand new Mercedes, your Tesla in the driveway.
Yeah, he's not talking about me. I don't have one of those.
And everybody can see it. And I know it's somewhat disheartening that people can't look under your sink and see your brand new drinking water system.
Yeah, you can't really show it off.
You can't show it off.
If you have it gold plated, maybe. Put some lights under there.
Yeah. So come in, let me show you my new reverse osmosis system under my sink.
The same can be said for replacing a sewer lateral between your house and the street. It's very expensive if it's really a worst case scenario, like $25,000, $30,000. But you can't show it off.
Can't show it off
because it's underground. So people are very hesitant to spend that kind of money.
And that money. And the bottom line is, I learned years ago that sometimes people have a tendency to buy what they want and squabble and haggle over what they need.
Yeah. Right. Good point.
Real quick. I mean, I can't tell you how many $400,000 Lamborghinis I've seen sitting in the garage with a cover over them. They come out about once a month.
And then they ask you for a discount when you come out to do the water system.
Ron, when you come back with your proposal, sharpen your pencil.